Ever since the latest political showdown, Bernie Sanders has been making waves across the country and gaining momentum in his fight against the unchecked power of billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. There's no platform, no stage, and no debate where Bernie isn't willing to make his case. And last night, that brought him to none other than Jasmine Crockett's platform, where the fierce representative took on Sanders in a no-holds-barred debate about the tax breaks and power that Bezos enjoys. But in a stunning moment, Crockett's fierce challenge left her speechless when Sanders called out her defense of Bezos, leaving the nation stunned. In this video, we're diving into that unforgettable confrontation and breaking down the powerful words that left America in shock. But before we dive in, if you could take a moment to like this video, it would really help out. Let's get into it. The debate was set to tackle the issue of wealth inequality, corporate responsibility, and the growing chasm between the richest Americans and the rest of the population. Jeff Bezos, the billionaire founder of Amazon, had been the subject of intense scrutiny in recent years due to the company's treatment of workers and its status as one of the wealthiest corporations in the world. For someone like Crockett, who had made it her mission to fight against the economic policies that have led to such disparity, Bezos was a prime example of the excesses of capitalism gone awry. She had never minced words when it came to calling out corporate giants and their negative impact on everyday people. It was a stance that had made her popular with those who felt the system was rigged against them, but it also made her an enemy to those who championed the status quo. When the debate turned to Bezos and his enormous fortune, Crockett wasted no time in voicing her criticisms. She blasted Bezos for Amazon's treatment of warehouse workers, for the way the company seemingly squeezed every last ounce of labor out of its employees while enriching itself on their backs. We've seen the stories of workers being forced to work under grueling conditions, of people urinating in bottles because they're not allowed to take breaks, Crockett said with palpable frustration. And all the while, Jeff Bezos is sitting atop a pile of billions, living in luxury, while the people who helped build his empire are left struggling to make ends meet. The crowd in the studio, a mixture of political insiders, activists, and viewers at home, nodded in agreement as Crockett continued. This isn't just about one man. This is about a system that allows the richest to get richer while the rest of us are left behind. It was a powerful moment, one that resonated with anyone who had ever felt the sting of economic inequality. Crockett's words were sharp, pointed, and full of righteous anger. She wasn't just criticizing Bezos, she was pointing to the broader problem of corporate greed that had become a staple of American capitalism. She was calling for change, for accountability, and for a system that would put people over profits. And for many, it was a message they had heard before, one they had hoped would be heard louder in Washington. But just as Crockett was hitting her stride, Bernie Sanders, who had long been one of her political heroes, took an unexpected turn. As someone who had built his political career on fighting for the working class and opposing corporate power, Sanders had always been a vocal critic of billionaires like Bezos. However, in this debate, he found himself in a position where he felt the need to defend Bezos. We have to recognize that Bezos is a product of the system, Sanders explained, his voice calm but firm. He didn't just wake up one day with billions in his pocket. He created a company that provided services that millions of people rely on. Yes, there are problems with how Amazon operates, but we can't just demonize the man for his success. For Crockett, this was a moment of profound disappointment. She had always admired Sanders for his unapologetic stance against corporate greed, for his dedication to creating a fairer, more just economy. But now, he was defending a billionaire whose company had become the epitome of everything Sanders had once opposed. Crockett's disbelief was palpable, and it quickly turned to frustration. "Bernie, are you seriously going to stand here and defend him?" Crockett shot back, her voice rising with intensity. "This isn't about success. It's about exploitation. It's about people working in conditions that no one should have to endure, just so that Jeff Bezos can buy more mansions and launch himself into space." At this point, the tension in the room was unmistakable. The audience, who had been captivated by the exchange, was waiting for Sanders to respond. The back and forth was escalating, and it was clear that this was no longer just a policy debate. It was a battle of principles. Crockett wasn't just defending the workers and the poor, she was defending the very values she had built her political career on. And Sanders, in a move that stunned the audience, attempted to shut her down with a blunt command, "Shut up, Jasmine." The words hung in the air, a sharp interruption that left everyone in the room momentarily stunned. It was a move that seemed completely out of character for Sanders, who had always prided himself on his openness and willingness to engage in honest debate. But in this moment, it felt as though he had dismissed not only Crockett's argument but also the people she represented. Crockett, caught off guard by the insult, stood still for a moment, processing the gravity of what had just happened. It wasn't just that Sanders had told her to shut up. It was that he, of all people, had taken the side of a billionaire over the working class. It was a betrayal, one that Crockett wasn't going to let slide. For a brief moment, it seemed as though Crockett might falter. She was, after all, facing a political giant, someone whose words carried immense weight in the progressive community. But as the seconds ticked by, her resolve hardened. She wasn't about to let Bernie Sanders silence her, not when the stakes were so high. "No, Bernie," she said, her voice steady but filled with intensity. "I will not shut up. Not when we're talking about the lives of real people. Not when we're talking about a system that is broken and only benefits the wealthy. I will not be silenced, and I will not back down." Her response was a turning point. It was a moment of clarity, not just for her but for everyone watching. Crockett wasn't just fighting for political points. She was fighting for the soul of America. She wasn't going to let the system of inequality go unchallenged, even if it meant standing up to someone like Bernie Sanders, someone she had once considered an ally. The crowd erupted in applause, and for the first time in the debate, the momentum shifted in her favor. As Crockett continued to make her case, her words resonated with a broader audience. She talked about the systemic issues that allowed billionaires like Bezos to amass unimaginable wealth while ordinary people struggled to survive. She pointed to the countless stories of Amazon workers being mistreated, of employees being forced to work under deplorable conditions, and of the company's tax loopholes that allowed Bezos to pay far less than his fair share. Crockett made it clear that her fight wasn't just about one company or one billionaire. It was about a larger societal issue. It was about the need for reform, for a redistribution of wealth, and for an economic system that put people first, not profits. But even as Crockett's words gained traction, Sanders remained steadfast in his defense of Bezos. "We can't just tear down successful people," Sanders insisted. "We need to focus on fixing the system as a whole, not targeting individuals." His words were met with mixed reactions, as many in the audience began to question where Sanders truly stood on the issue of corporate power. Had he become so entrenched in the political system that he could no longer see the flaws in it, or was this simply a rare misstep in an otherwise consistent career? The debate ended without a clear resolution, but the aftermath of the exchange was far-reaching. News outlets, social media platforms, and pundits across the country were abuzz with discussions about the confrontation. For some, Sanders' defense of Bezos was seen as a betrayal of progressive values, while others argued that he was simply acknowledging the complexities of the issue. But for Crockett, the exchange was a wake-up call. She realized that the fight for economic justice was far from over, and that even the most progressive figures could sometimes lose sight of the very principles they once championed. In the weeks that followed, Crockett's popularity surged. Her unapologetic stance on wealth inequality and her refusal to back down in the face of pressure resonated with people across the political spectrum. Her words, once dismissed by some as mere rhetoric, had sparked a conversation about the true nature of capitalism and the role of billionaires in shaping American society. As for Bernie Sanders, the fallout from the debate would continue to linger, leaving many to wonder if he had become too entrenched in the political establishment to truly challenge the status quo. For Crockett, however, the fight was just beginning. She knew that she would continue to be a voice for the voiceless. No matter how difficult or contentious the battles ahead might be, she wasn't going to be silenced, and she wasn't going to back down from challenging a system that had long failed the American people. And if this debate was any indication, she would continue to shake up the political establishment, one fiery exchange at a time. If you found this exchange compelling and want to stay updated on the latest political debates and discussions, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an important update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.